आज के इस deep dive में, we're pulling back the curtain on a pretty harsh reality. You know, the people sitting at the very top of the food chain right now, yeah, they didn't get there just by grinding away at their desks. School taught us the formulas, the rules, how to be obedient, but it completely failed to teach us the cunning, real-world strategies of actual power. We were basically told to just keep our heads down and work. But what they're actually doing up there in the corner offices, it's something entirely different. So welcome to this explainer, where we are going to decode the ultimate playbook of power. School sells us this illusion of hard work, mostly just to keep the system running smoothly. But smart work, that is the actual reality of power. It's a game of strategy, leverage, and honestly, sometimes a bit of manipulation. The source material we're unpacking today is basically a survival guide for this reality. We're talking about rules that powerful people use literally every single day, but never speak about openly because, well, they can seem a little deceptive or ruthless. And this brilliantly illustrates why you absolutely have to know them, because if you don't understand the rules, you can't win the game. To make this incredibly actionable for you, we're organizing what is normally a pretty chaotic list of 14 laws into 5 distinct, easy-to-digest strategic pillars: ego and superiors, handling relationships, image and reputation, strategic execution, and finally, financial power leverage. Okay, let's dive into this. Pillar number 1. Ego and superiors. Navigating workplace hierarchies is honestly an absolute minefield. A lot of really smart professionals completely destroy their own careers simply because they just don't understand the psychological game happening right above their heads. So picture this. You're working at a massive multinational company, right? You spend your nights, your weekends crafting this brilliant, airtight strategy that is guaranteed to double the company's revenue. Now, you know your direct manager might steal the credit, so you bypass them. You take this absolute gem of an idea straight to the CEO. You've got the data, the CEO loves it. So what do you think happens next? A fast-track promotion? Actually, no. You get entirely blocked. And this brings us to a fundamental rule of power: never outshine the master. By jumping over your boss's head, you just triggered a massive ego clash. Think about it. Your manager has spent, 15 years grinding to reach their position, and suddenly you, the junior, are making them look totally irrelevant. Even with the CEO backing you, your boss and your insecure teammates are going to start throwing roadblocks in your path at every turn. It's just simple human psychology, you know? No leader likes to feel threatened by the brilliance of their own subordinate. So how exactly do you handle this? Well, let's look at a masterclass in transition straight from the world of cricket. When Virat Kohli, who we all know for his incredibly aggressive leadership, took over the Test captaincy in 2014, he didn't immediately try to overshadow MS Dhoni. If he had tried to outshine Dhoni from day one, it would have been a complete disaster. Instead, Kohli maintained immense respect. After almost every single over, you'd see him walking up to Dhoni, asking for advice, making sure the senior player never felt directly challenged or disrespected. By acting as if he was still growing under Dhoni's guidance, Kohli quietly secured his own power without sparking an ego war. Brilliant, right? Moving right along to pillar number 2, handling relationships, specifically the very dangerous territory of mixing friends and business. The workplace is a deeply complex environment, and honestly, mixing business with your personal social circle is one of the absolute biggest risks you can take. See, when you do business with strangers, everything is built on contract-based clarity. You know where you stand. But doing business with friends, that carries an unbelievably high emotional risk. Money has this profound, almost scary ability to ruin friendships. Just look at the infamous case of Harshad Mehta, the big bull of the stock market. He built his entire empire around his friends, bankers, brokers, politicians. But the very second his scam was exposed and the money stopped flowing, who do you think turned against him to provide evidence? Yep, his own close network. When money and power enter the equation, allegiances flip in an instant. And speaking of the people you surround yourself with, you absolutely must fiercely guard your own mindset. We all know that one chronic office complainer, right? The person who is constantly whining about the boss being unfair or the company stalling their growth. At first, you might sympathize with them, but slowly, inevitably, that chronic negativity infects your own thinking. You start feeling unmotivated and frustrated for literally no logical reason. It's because negative emotions are completely contagious. You have to actively distance yourself from the unhappy and the unlucky, or I guarantee you they will drag your potential right down with them. Let's move to and see how this builds into pillar number 3, image and reputation. In the real world, your reputation is literally the most valuable asset you own. You have to guard it with your life, because once it's compromised, your leverage completely disappears. To really understand just how fragile reputation is, let's trace the timeline of Vijay Mallya.
He was once celebrated as the king of good times, constantly surrounded by elite celebrities and holding unmatched business prestige. But the moment those bank loan scams hit, everything collapsed. Today, his reputation is so incredibly toxic that merely claiming a distant association with him could instantly kill a business deal. It takes decades of careful planning to build an empire of trust, and just a single moment of crisis to shatter the whole shebang. Another huge key to managing your image is understanding the power of absence. If you are always available, always seen everywhere, your value naturally drops. Amitabh Bachchan actually experienced this firsthand when he started appearing in nearly every television ad possible. He suffered from massive brand overexposure. So what was his solution? He created scarcity. By stepping back and only choosing highly selective, premium endorsements, he used his absence to completely rebuild his brand value. Basically, the less available you are, the more people respect your presence. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that there's a super delicate balance between scarcity and absolute obscurity. Think about it. If you're a startup building a perfect product in total silence, while your competitor makes a mediocre product but aggressively markets it all over the place, who wins? The competitor does, every time. Patanjali proved this in the Indian market. Their products were sitting quietly on shelves for years, but the moment they courted attention with relentless, aggressive television visibility, they exploded into an empire. The greatest product in the world is completely useless if no one even knows it exists. But, and this is crucial, how you get that attention really matters. Back in 1996, cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar was facing heavy criticism from people loudly claiming he couldn't perform on bouncy pitches against Australia. Did he waste his energy arguing with critics and the press? No way. He silenced them entirely by simply walking onto the pitch and smashing a century. You win through your actions, never through your arguments. Actions are undeniable, words are just noise. All right, let's shift into pillar number 4, strategic business execution. How exactly do the absolute titans of industry maneuver behind the scenes to consolidate their power? Let's break down 3 very specific corporate moves. First up, Dhirubhai Ambani. He was an absolute master of concealing intentions. He never discussed his future plans publicly, which left his competitors constantly guessing and off balance. Second, his son, Mukesh Ambani, excels at leveraging others. He doesn't try to do all the groundwork alone. Instead, he builds massive, self-sustaining systems and leverages the efforts of thousands to scale his empire, all while keeping the ultimate control in his hands. Finally, look at T-Series. They made themselves completely irreplaceable by creating a massive distribution network, effectively building a monopoly in the music industry where artists are now heavily dependent on their platform. Another core strategy you see at the top is the absolute discipline of silence. When Ratan Tata launched the revolutionary Nano, the media bombarded him with a million questions about profit margins and operational logistics. His response? It was incredibly brief. He just said, "A middle-class family can now afford a car." And that was it. He said exactly less than necessary. When you speak too much, you inevitably reveal your weak points and vulnerabilities. Master the art of the pregnant pause. It's a real game changer. These are the advanced, cutthroat tactics they definitely don't teach you in management school. If you need help from a senior, whatever you do not beg for mercy. Instead, appeal to their self-interest. Stroke their ego a bit, show them exactly how helping you makes them look like an indispensable expert. Furthermore, you need to understand that casual corporate networking is very often just a front for espionage. Posing as a friendly colleague is literally the easiest way to gather valuable intelligence about a competitor's upcoming moves. And finally, using selective honesty, like intentionally admitting a small flaw, can entirely disarm someone, making them trust you when it comes time for the much bigger negotiations. Which brings us to our final pillar, number 5, financial power leverage. Now, all of these psychological and strategic laws we've talked about, they require a solid foundation of financial independence to truly work. Real-world influence demands financial leverage, and an excellent example of a tool that provides exactly this is the XM Trading platform. Let's talk scale for a second. The XM Trading app offers over 1,400 different trading instruments. We're talking about gold, silver, Bitcoin, US dollars, the whole 9 yards. And they do this with absolutely zero commission. It is basically a vast playground for building your financial leverage, provided you know how to use the tools available. But here is where we apply that smart work principle we discussed right at the start. What if you're busy and you just lack the time or the deep analytical knowledge to sit there and trade manually? Well, you leverage the expertise of others through automated copy trading. You simply select an expert trader based on their past performance, you set your strict risk profile using a stop loss to ensure your safety, and then the platform automatically replicates their trades directly into your account. You are literally letting someone else do the hard work while you strategically position your capital. So the crucial point is how you actually maximize your initial leverage. Right now, they're offering a 50% deposit bonus. This means if you deposit $50, you get an extra $25, bringing your total trading capital right up to $75. Plus, they offer negative balance protection, which means your account will never, ever drop below zero. You can withdraw the profits you make from trading with that bonus, which gives you a super powerful protected launchpad into your financial strategizing. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today, decoding 14 absolutely essential strategies for navigating the realities of power, ego, and leverage. But remember, this is just the beginning. This was only part 1, and there are 16 more incredibly potent laws coming in the next installment of this explainer. The rules of the game are out there, and they're being played all around you, every single day. The only question left is, will you master this playbook, or will you remain a pawn in someone else's game? Think about that for a bit, and I'll see you in the next one.